Hey everyone, welcome to the Worship Culture Team. I'm Jeremiah, and today we're talking about something a bit different. We're talking about worshiping in the valleys. So stick around, we're going to have a great conversation. So today we're having a bit of a different discussion. It's a bit of a different mood, so I'll just let you know of that. But we were recently doing a bit of video coaching with some worship leaders in Uganda and got this fantastic question that I don't think until that moment I'd put in to words what I felt. So we just had such a beautiful time together talking about this, and so I wanted to share that with all of you as well. So what we're talking about today is worshiping in the valleys. And so here was the question. So the question was, what do we do as worship leaders when we are with our churches and it just doesn't seem like anything's happening? Everybody seems tired. Everybody seems really burdened down, and there doesn't seem to be much joy. What do we do? And I still feel like that is just the season that I'm in. I feel like that question reflects so many of our experiences in church. I feel like we have two responses. So the first, I don't think is one that we should go. I see it happen a lot, and this isn't to throw any disrespect on anybody. This isn't a stylistic thing. This is just how I feel based on seasons that I've been in, and I'll share more about that. But I think the first thing that we could do, and I feel like is the easiest way to go, is to just pretend it doesn't exist. The fake it till you make it. Anybody ever felt like they needed to do that? There was another question in a Facebook group where someone asked about, what do I do as a leader when I'm not feeling it? And I feel like I have to show up and put a face on, put on a smile and pretend. I don't think our pretending helps anybody. I don't think it helps others. I don't think it helps our church. It definitely doesn't help us. And I don't think it honors Jesus. I think when I think about worship, I think about this relationship that we're either building or deteriorating with Jesus. And so when I think about that relationship, I think about the relationship I have with my wife. I think about the relationship I have with my closest friends. And if I only let those people that I care most about into the joys in my life, they're not seeing so much of my life. They're not seeing so much of me. Think about any relationship you've got, and if you only shared what was good, how much would that person actually know about you? For me, I feel like they wouldn't know that much. I've always been kind of melancholy. I've always been more like prone to depressive seasons. But I don't think that's worship. I think Jesus wants it all. I think he wants to know the good days, and I think he wants to know the bad days. And he knows everything, right? God knows everything that's going on, but it is a completely different thing for us to express that, to say that in our prayers, in our singing, to just own it. So I think this avoidance thing, I think that's the wrong way to go. I think it sends the wrong message. It's why I'm not much of a cheerleader worship leader. I don't see myself as someone who needs to pump people up. I think there is a time for songs that gather us. So I think there's a difference between songs that are just cheerleader songs and songs that are calls to worship, right? We have another video about kinds of songs and choosing songs and building a set. But I think there's a big difference between that. And I think, especially in light of some of the big things going on at the time that we're filming this, it's important for us to own things. Something that just happened this past week is on Monday. I'm shooting this on Friday the 13th of all days. So Friday, September 13th, this past Monday, a large church in California just lost one of their pastors to suicide. He'd been a long time advocate for depressed and anxious people. And we lost him on Monday. And that's around a year, give or take some change, after we lost another high-profile pastor to suicide. I think the more we ignore what's going on, the less we're actually worshiping. I think it's important for us to own what's going on. And so in our worship sets, I think about this time, a mentor of mine, we've never met. I've just consumed about everything he's ever released. So Paul Balash is this worship leader. And I heard this story about a worship night he led in a large church. And they were about halfway through the set. They'd sang all of the songs that should have gotten people going. And he looks out and he keeps feeling, man, we are just not here right now. And so he's leading and praying and going, God, what do I need to do? And he started playing James Taylor's You've Got a Friend. He prayed and then sang the song, and it says, when you're down and troubled and you need a helping hand and nothing seems to go right, or something like that, just close your eyes and think of me, and soon I'll be there to lighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. And it was a song that so many of those people knew. Everybody starts singing along, but it's a whole different context now in their church. And it really started to loosen people up. When we own what's happening in our congregations, we don't call it out and condemn it, but God honors and loves our honesty. And so if your church is in a season where everybody feels like they're just burdened with so much weight, express that to God through your worship. He shows up. Even if he doesn't show up, he loves it. If that's not worship, I don't know what is. I think it honors God. It honors that relationship for us to be honest with each other, to be honest with ourselves, to be honest with him, and say, God, this is where I am. I don't want to be here. I don't like this season that I'm in, but it's where I am. And so I'm going to commit to singing the songs that I sang on the mountain about your goodness, about your faithfulness, because of all the ground that was beneath me that we'd conquered together. Even though I'm in the valley, I'm going to sing those songs, not pretending like I'm there, but knowing that I've seen your faithfulness. I've seen the work you've done, and I believe that you can do it again. I love that song, Do It Again, from Elevation, right? God, I've seen you move. You've moved the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. Now, when I sing that song, I want it now. I don't know about you, but I want that season now. But here's the thing. Even if it doesn't come, even if God's provision or his deliverance from those seasons doesn't come tomorrow, it doesn't come next week, it doesn't come next month, next year, next decade, if it doesn't come until the day I die and I'm forever with him and there's no more depression and there's no more sadness, it's good enough for me to sing of that future, right? That's the hope that we have as believers, this promise that Jesus said that he was going ahead, he was going to prepare a place for us. That's what we're singing about. And so here's what my season has looked like. So for the last 3 years, I've been in easily the biggest depressive season of my life. The last time I had depression, it was for about 2 weeks. This time it's about 3 years. And so when I started this season, I had this feeling that, oh man, it was going to go away so quick. I just needed to pray more. I needed to worship more. I just needed to do whatever, and it was going to go away. And guess what? It didn't. I'm still here. Now, I take medication every day. I see a counselor, and that has honestly kept me alive. That and my wife, she has just been fantastic, incredibly patient, incredibly understanding. But that's why I'm here. And what I've learned through this season is, I think, similar to probably what Paul was talking about. So he wrote to the church and he talked about this thorn in his side. We don't know what that was. I have some ideas, but I think we all do have some speculation. That's all we can do. But he had this thorn in his side. He says he keeps asking God to remove it. But God's response to him is, "My grace is enough for you." I don't know who needs to hear that. I definitely did. I've asked God to take away my depression for 3 years, and he hasn't. And I'm trying to learn to be all right with that, and to sing the same mountaintop songs in this valley, to sing the songs that I would sing in the daylight, in the dark, and to not let this season go by without taking this opportunity to learn. We learn lessons in the drought that we don't learn when it's raining. We learn different things in the dark than in the sun. So let's not take, if you're in a depressed season, if you are battling anxiety, if your church feels like that, if your church feels like you're just trudging through mud or deep snow that's up to your hips, it's hard moving forward. We learn such different things in these seasons. Do not take these seasons for granted. We can still experience blessing through this hardship. It is hard. It is not awesome. But we can learn things now that we will not learn in eternity. We will not learn when everything's going right. It makes us stronger. It allows us to share stories like this, to give hope to each other, that depression and the darkness and our anxiety doesn't have to win. Suicide doesn't have to be an answer. We can still have an impact now on this planet to be a part of building the kingdom here, even through our depression, even through our anxiety. And I think we have an opportunity to do that even more through these hardships because of the lessons that we learned. So don't pretend that these seasons don't exist. Don't pretend like you can just ignore it away. Own it. So with our churches, let's lead songs where we sing about the valleys. Let's be honest. In our prayers, take a break in your set. If you feel like you're there, just pray and say, "God, we are tired. We don't know what's going on. We're thirsty. We've been longing for this. But we believe that you provide, and we believe that you have more for us. We believe that this season doesn't have to win. We don't know when it will end. We ask that you end it, but even if you don't, we're going to commit to singing the mountaintop songs in the valley, thanking you for the mountains that we've experienced, and knowing that there's a day where we won't have any more valleys. There will be a day when there's no more depression, there's no more sorrow, there's no more sadness, there's no more death, there's no more of any of that. But we can't give that sacrifice of praise then. We can only offer that as a sacrifice now. So don't neglect these seasons. You can pray for them to end. I still pray for that every day for myself. I pray just about every day that God, you would just snap your fingers and I wouldn't be depressed anymore. But there are so many ways that my life can help other people right now than if the depression was away. So it's the same for our churches. I think it's important for us to be honest with God. I think it honors God in a significantly higher level than even when things are going great. But I hope this message helps you. I hope it blesses you. If you are depressed, if you have anxiety, if you've been having panic attacks and things like that, we want to support you. We want to pray with you. We want to help you find help. It's important for you to do so. There's nothing wrong with having Jesus and a counselor. Jesus is enough. His grace is enough, but he also provides grace through things like medication and through counseling. Don't take those things for granted. Don't take for granted the season that you're in, even if you don't like it. I think that's what I've been learning over the last few years. And I think it's important for our churches to own where they are and say, God, we don't want to stay here, but this is where we are. And this is what we have to offer. I think that honors God in a way that our mountaintop worship can't even touch. So anyway, be blessed. I hope you guys have an awesome Sunday. Comment and share this. Again, if we can support you, shoot us a message, comment back with us. We want to support you. We don't want to lose any more of our church leaders, any of our people to suicide, because there's so much more that we can do here together to build the kingdom now that we don't get to do in eternity. I long for eternity. I long for the end of this season that I'm in, but I see that the harvest is plentiful. The workers are few. I'm tired of losing our fantastic people to depression and anxiety. So if I can partner with you, if you can partner with me, I think we are so much better together. So I love you guys. I'm praying for you. Have an awesome Sunday. I hope this helps you in your churches. I love you very, very much. You are so important, and we need you. We need each other. So love you guys. See you next time.